Today's lesson is on converting fractions, decimals, and percents. Okay, your vocabulary. A decimal is any number with a decimal point, and there are some examples. A fraction is one or more of the equal parts of a whole, a number usually expressed in the form A over B. A percent, and this is important to know, the word percent comes from Latin and means for each hundred or per hundred. Okay, so we've already done converting fractions and decimals before, so this part is a review. Remember, you just divide. Top divided by bottom. Numerator divided by denominator. So, for example, we're going to write 5 over 11 as a decimal. To do that, you just divide. And you're going to put your top number in the box, and then 11 will go on the outside. 11 will not go into 5, so you put a 0 and add a decimal 0. 11 will go into 50 4 times. 11 times 4 is 44. When you subtract, you get 6. There's a remainder, so you add a 0, bring it down. 11 will go into 60 5 times. 11 times 5 is 55. When you subtract, you get 5. Remainder, so you add a 0, bring it down. 11 goes into 50 4 times. 11 times 4 is 44. When you subtract, you get 6. Add a 0, bring it down. 11 will go into 60 5 times. When you subtract, you get 5. Okay, you're noticing a pattern here. This remainder repeats, so this is a repeating decimal. So to write 5/11ths as a decimal, you may write it as 0.45 repeating. Okay, what if we have a decimal and we want to change it to a fraction? We're going to place the number that follows that decimal point over the place that it is in. So tenths, hundredths, thousandths. So then you'll simplify as necessary. So if you just remember when I said, write what you read. Okay, so now we have -7/10, and we're going to write it as a fraction or mixed number in simplest form. And this is a review. There are some more examples on another one of my YouTube videos. So, we're going to write this number as we read it. And when I read the problem, I read it as a -7/10. So if I write it as a fraction, you're going to put a -7/10, 7/10. And that is your answer. It is already simplified. Okay, this part is new. We're going to convert decimals to percents and percents to decimals. And whenever you do conversions like this, I want you to remember Dr. Pepper, where decimal stands for, the D stands for decimal, and the P stands for percent. So whenever you're converting, all you're doing is you're just going to move the decimal place, which you're actually multiplying by 100 or dividing by 100 when you do this. So to change decimals to percents, the D is over here, so you're going to go to the P, and you do that by moving to the right 2 places. Decimals to percents, you move to the right, because the D is on the left and the P is on the right. To get from a percent to a decimal, you're going to move 2 places to the left. So you start with the percent, go 2 places to the left. Okay, so let's look at example number 3. We're going to convert this decimal to a percent. So we use our Dr. Pepper, and we see that we're starting with the decimal, so we need to move 2 places to the right. We're going to take our decimal, start with our decimal point, and move 2 places to the right. Whenever we do that, the decimal's at the end, so that's really 20, and it is a percent. So 0.20 as a percent is 20%. Okay, now we're going to convert 4 to a percent. This is still going to be considered a decimal because it doesn't have the percent sign. So we're going to still move 2 places to the right. When we look at our number 4, we have to start with our decimal point. So where is our decimal point on the number 4? That's right, it's on the end. So we're going to start on the end and move 2 places to the right. Now, if there's no numbers to the right, you always add zeros. So that is 2 zeros. So the number you really have here is 400, and we just changed it to a percent. Okay, example number 5. Now we have this percent, and we're going to change it to a decimal. So we use our Dr. Pepper, and we see that we're going to, from a percent to a decimal, so we go 2 places to the left. We're going to take our 5%, start with our decimal place, which in this case is at the end, and move 2 places to the left, percent to decimal. There's going to be a 0 there, so now we have a decimal 0.5, and it is no longer a percent. So we have 5 hundredths. 5% as a decimal is 5 hundredths. Okay, now we're going to convert 1.25% into a decimal. Same thing, Dr. Pepper. From a percent to a decimal, we're going to go 2 places to the left. We're going to take our 1.25%, start with the decimal, and move 2 places to the left. When you add that 0 in, you get 0.0125. And that is your answer. Okay, well, what happens when you have a fraction and then you have to change it to a percent? First thing you're going to have to do is you have to change that fraction into a decimal by doing our dividing. And then you can take that decimal and change it to a percent. So you kind of have 2 steps here. Okay, so what if we want to convert 1/2 into a percent? First thing you have to do is change it to a decimal. Well, this here is a common fraction, and we know that as a decimal it is 5/10. So now we have a decimal, and we need to change it to a percent. We use our Dr. Pepper, move 2 places to the right, take our number, move it 2 places to the right. You'll add a 0, and then you will see that your answer is 50%. So 2 steps here. Change it to a decimal, then change it to a percent. Okay, well, what happens if you have a percent and you want to change it to a fraction? You're going to have to go backwards here. You're going to first change your percent to a decimal, and then convert that decimal into a fraction. So we're doing the same thing but backwards. Alright, we have 12.5%, and we want to change it into a fraction. Okay, so first thing we have to do is change that to a decimal. Move 2 places to the left, move 2 places to the left. Now you have 0.125, 125 thousandths. And you see that I said 125 thousandths because you're going to write what you read to change it into a fraction. So we have 125 thousandths. Only thing left to do is to simplify, and when you do that, you get 1/8. So that is 12.5% as a fraction. Alright, try these on your own and see what you can do.